Hello and welcome to Bloomberg Quint. Today we have with us the Chief Economic Advisor to India, Mr. Arvind Subramanian. Mr. Subramanian, thank you so much for joining us on Bloomberg Quint. You were the first one to suggest GST rates to the government. You had recommended a revenue neutral rate of 15%. How revenue neutral do you think the current rates finalized by GST Council are?
You see, I think that certainly the rates that I recommended and the rates that the GST Council has, decided on are somewhat different. The structure, level, all these things. Now, my own assessment of where we are today is that the rates are perhaps not completely revenue neutral. The advantage of that, of course, is that the concern on inflation should come down because, if revenues are going to be maybe slightly fall short, that by definition means that prices will come down. So in that sense, that's a good thing. Now, how much the revenues will fall short of revenue neutrality remains to be seen. But I'm hoping that the rates coming down will be compensated by the compliance benefits, right? Both from the invoice matching that will happen through the IT system, GSTN system, and also because of more and more people coming in from the informal sector. So I'm hoping that, rates come down, prices come down, and the shortfall on revenue is not too much.
Okay. And you had also suggested a standard rate of 18%, but now we have a highest tax slab of 28%, which attracts an additional cess. So what would its impact be on inflation? And just to add up to that, the Monetary Policy Committee in its recent review has also said that inflation and allowances of central government employees, which were recently approved by the cabinet, pose an upside risk to inflation. So what's your view on that?
See, I think let's keep the pay allowances separate because I think we have to analyze that, and also in that it depends upon some of it was already factored in, and so the question is how much more. But as far as the GST goes, I think the impact on prices is going to be positive, i.e. as it's going to come down for two reasons. One, as I said, the incidents under the GST, as we've calculated them, are lower than what they are today. So that's a downward pressure on prices. The second thing is that, it's a kind of quirk that in the run-up to the GST, traders have been getting rid of their stocks. And that also has been putting downward pressure on prices. So we're kind of getting a benefit from that as well. So I think the combination of these two mean that we will have slightly lower prices going forward and lower inflation because of GST. And therefore, I don't think we should be too concerned about the upward pressure on prices. I mean, the problem will be that, remember that it's as much inflation. One thing is the real impact and the other thing is the perceived impact. Perceptions are very important here. I think on the perception there will be two challenges which we have to kind of overcome, right? The first challenge is that there will be greater focus on and attention to rates that go up and prices that go up. It's natural. People discount the benefits that they get but focus on the hardship they're going to suffer. So that will create an imbalance in perception, even though that may not be the true reality. The other perceptual issue is that it's something that I think that we've not recognized enough. Today the consumer only sees the state VAT in his prices. He doesn't see the embedded excise. So he may mistakenly think that going forward, his tax went from 12.5 to say 18, when in fact it's probably remained 18 because of the excise and goes to 18. So that's another perceptual challenge that we have to collectively address going forward.
Sir, and many companies have said that sales in the first two quarters after GST implementation will be sluggish. So what sort of an impact would this have on our growth?
See, let's see. I think that if we have implementation challenges, of course then sales and growth will be impacted. So a lot depends upon what these challenges are going to be and how quickly we can overcome them. So let's wait and see. I mean, I'm hoping that the teething troubles will last no more than 3 to 6 months, and then we can get on and then really assess what the the medium term impact of the GST is going to be.
Okay. And so the government is also expecting to increase compliance and revenue post implementation of GST.
Absolutely.
So what sort of projection would you like to make in revenue increase? What sort of increase will
So
we see in revenue?
To be honest, that's really tough to say. We don't know. We have some evidence, actually we don't have a whole lot of evidence, but I think the expectation is that we will get a lot of gains from, remember that the one of the big beauties of the GST is going to be that when people upload their vouchers, the computer will automatically match the voucher of the seller and the buyer, and that's where we're going to get a lot of the compliance benefits. And that, I think, should be quite substantial. And the other benefit, of course, is going to be people that were outside the net coming to the net. I think the third compliance benefit, which I think we haven't focused on, is how much increased compliance there will be in the income tax because of the GST and the indirect tax system, because we'll get a whole lot more information on what firms buy, who's buying them, and so I think there should also be some benefits on the income tax side.
Would you like to give a projection?
No, I will not, because I haven't done it, so it would not be right to give a projection.
Also, sir, there's a 4-tier rate structure currently under GST, but if you include gold and diamonds, this becomes a 6-tier rate structure. So can some sort of rate rationalization be expected 1 or 2 years down the line?
Absolutely. I think that the quality of the discussions in the GST Council have been very high, and also discussions have been imbued with the spirit of let's try and work towards a common purpose. So I think if we have that going forward, and if we learn from the experience of actually implementing the GST over the next few months, I think I'm very much hopeful that things can improve. Remember that all of you focus on the improvement on the rate structure. I am as much concerned, or rather, focused on how much improvement we can get in terms of bringing things in that have now been left out of the GST. Right. So the two challenges ahead are both the simplification of the rates and, equally important, all that you've left out to bring some of that into land and real estate, power, electricity, health, education, petroleum, alcohol, natural gas. All these things have to come in.
Okay. So can this be expected to be brought under the GST ambit in 1 or 2 years?
I mean, 1 or 2 years, all of you always want us to give timing and magnitudes. I'm hoping, as we learn next 2 years, I think, we should see some forward movement and some progress on that.